Hello, Wild Wisdom Warriors, and hello, YouTube. Hello, world. Hello, shamans, my darling shamans. Welcome. This is Lily's Journal. Welcome, everyone. Today is 2-4. Oh, my. We're finally out of the 2-2-2-2-2s. Oh, my God. You've survived? You guys survived the 02/02/2020? Everyone's good? Welcome. Welcome to your future. Welcome to our ancient future, everyone. So, hi, Jerry. Oh, my goodness. Hi. Thank you, West Virginia, for being here. Hi, Pavel. Thank you for joining. So here we go, guys. So I'm going to journal today a little bit, and I'm going to talk about how for us to live in our ancient future and live it in the present. By the way, I am, it's just oranges, water, sparkling water infused with fresh oranges. So yeah, I just felt like having some of this today. Anyway, and this is not real fur, you guys, but we have a snow day. So just for those of you that know, I wouldn't wear real fur. I don't like wearing real fur for some reason. Anyway, so but we have a snowstorm in Colorado, so that's why I kind of need to keep it warm. So here's to all of you. Thank you so much for joining me on this snowy day, where I'm going to talk about the past that has to die. So how is that for a subject? Hi, Danielle. Oh, you're here. Hi, darling. Oh, I'm so glad you figured it out. There you are. Great. Great to see you here. All right. So here we go. The past has to die. Okay. Caesar, I just took him out, wanted him to say hi, but he heard the subject and he said, I don't want to have anything to do with it. So he does not want to say hi to anybody. And I can never make him to do anything. So that's just what it is. So here we go, you guys. So I'm going to talk about this, all of this, ancient sort of codes and predictions or prophecies, and I've talked a little bit about from the perspective of Native Americans last time, and talked about the Father God, and their perspective is because through the nature it's just the most absorbable to a human being, that mythology. That's why I like it. Hi, Daniel. Thank you so much for joining me, Daniel. Good evening to you too. So I want to talk about how and what, as shamans, right? What happens is what I talk about. What is the main purpose of a shaman? What is the main thing, or what is the source of fear in most cases for all human beings here on this plane of existence? So what is the main source? What is at the root? The root of fear is fear of death. And that's the root, sort of. You think of it like a in a biblical sense. That's the root also of all evil, because then that's what creates that fear of darkness, right? Okay, so it creates a fear of darkness, and so then it creates fear of own darkness, and so then this is how all of that. As I've mentioned in the past, how our subconscious mind gets programmed through the hijacking of the subconscious minds and symbols and all of that. But once a human being, any human being, steps into the center of themselves, and in case they do need a shaman, then this is where some of you are here as healer shamans. Or there's a different kind of shamanic work. There's as there is many universities and many lives here and many ancestrals, how many tribes there's been around the world. It's just so many. That's why it's impossible to count on the tribal level. Caesar, excusez-moi, por favor. Hey, you want to go to bed? Because I'll send you to bed. Okay, if you don't, okay, thank you. Gracias. Grazie. Grazie, Caesar. All right. All right. Okay. Hi, Jose. Thank you so much for joining. So then fear of darkness, and then that denial of the darkness is that created by fear. And then you can go into this unlimited levels of decoding all the things on the negative side of reality as a positive and a negative. And so as you experience as an observer, as a creator, your experience, whatever it is that you're on whatever level you choose to observe that, or you choose to experience that flow in neutrality. And so when most people at the core of their own issues lies that fear of something, then fear of even then, and you can say a lot of people carry anger and all of that due to all the lies and all of the things, but it really isn't. It's the fear of facing the truth that people have that comes out as anger. But the root of that anger always will be fear. And so for people, for all the shamans around the world that are like operating shamans, meaning you using your, as I call it, your quantum abilities to operate in this reality, meaning your operational quantum computer here. And that's why you can affect the totality of human consciousness. That's why it is so vital for shamans around the world to operate on these levels, as we talk about it in last time, on this levels of neutrality of or the trinary field, where it's not just good versus bad. And this is how you're blind, because you either blind on one eye or you're blind on both. So that's why you gotta there is difference. You can be blind just on one eye, or you can just be blind on both. Hi, Ed. So you have a question. So each shaman has his own individual input then? Yes. Each shaman has its own individual unique capability, quantum capability, or quantum ability that they have developed through their own experience in this reality, meaning that what they are carrying, meaning the codes, the quantum codes that their individual carry on the individual level. So it's like, think of it, supercomputer, and then the computer, and then the supercomputer distributes the code. So this is the totality of human consciousness on the quantum level. Then it's that super consciousness of earth field organic field. As organic human being can then operate on that level because it exists within his mind as well. And those are that anointed by God, or meaning the ones that universal seeds, as I talk about, and that's the shamans. And so what happens is then you, from that perspective, as a universal seed operating on that level, meaning you have the memory, you the seed, like I talk about, but you remember you remember that you are a tree, or you remember that you are a bush, or you remember you are a rose, or you remember, okay, if you just talking about seed. And so now I'm talking about shamans as being the seed of consciousness, human consciousness, original ancient code for human consciousness. Okay, in manifestation, because it's like I said, everything before the manifestation, it has that invisible or eternal structure to it. This is what I mean. Oh gosh, what they call it, a flower of life, is like so pretty. It's beautiful design and all of that stuff. Nothing against that design. It's just a beautiful design. But for people to believe that that's the living flower of life, it's pitiful to me. It's like, oh, wow, this is like really low level stupid. Because the living unfolds from within. That's your living soul in reality. Here, in reality, in time. And this is why it's ancestral codes, because you are carrying that through your blood codes, through your DNA, through your all of that stuff. So when they're talking about the seed, right, being the seed, once you realize that you're the seed of consciousness, so now you can unfold your living soul. Okay? And so now, does the seed remember how to bury or how to produce, not bury, how to produce a seed to continue? And so think of it as you being your ancestral, okay? Because that seed now will have its own memory of being a seed that will imprint in the reality. When it becomes a tree, then it will bloom and it will produce a seed that will be exact replica of itself. And so what happens? So think of it, let's talk about human being in the same form, like I'm talking about the plant. I'm talking from like a biology perspective, because my son is biologist. So that's why I talk that way. So now think about it as a human being, that tree, okay? So, and this is what we talk about, attaining that, or freeing yourself or freeing your soul, is once you pass that point to where you are no longer afraid of death. When you recognize that there is no death. So let's say we take a plant that only blooms. Let's take a flower that only blooms once, and then you got to reseed it, okay? So that flower has to die. But is that flower that is capable to remembering itself in the form of the physical seed can rebirth itself again the next year? And this is ultimately what true shamans understand the wheel of life, that it has no breakage in it. The wheel continues. It's a spiral of life. And this is why the symbol, the ancient symbol, the most ancient symbol, it's the spiral of life. And that's what truly the human being is those in that when we attain that spiritual knowledge of who we are truly, as what how in Bible it says who we are on that level, on the spiritual level, and why the God is within. It's all because it has to do with these levels. And so once the fear is, then the release of the fear is that the attainment of that spiritual freedom then to unfold. And so that's why fear and freedom don't go together. You can entangle them, even quantumly, because they're the opposite of each other. One cannot exist without another. So, like, you know what I mean? So, freedom, attain freedom, and this is what in passing through that. And so, why is in through shamanic work is why what I do in my own personal sessions, okay, that I do, it's for shamanic healing. Um, why do I immediately, and those of you that have experienced sessions with me and done those, you know that every time I will take you into either your past life or a couple of past lives, but in uh, one of those or more, but at least once in my session, in my hypnosis session, then I'll take you through a death process while you're in that state, in hypnotic state, in that alignment. I'll take you through that death process fully, like step by step by step, and you'll observe a death process. But this is the reason why I do it, because I like to get immediately to the core and unlock anything that's there through any fears or anything. Because once you observe it, then you have a full vision of what, because you are there in this time and you're experiencing past time and you're experiencing death process. And so once I go through it, then your conscious mind is fully in line with that process. And so that immediately helps. It's like an exercise of aligning your conscious mind and getting rid of any stock blinders of fear of death that my client has. So that's why when you come to my sessions, you will experience this process. I'll take you through this so then you do get a full view and a full experience. So no fear. So then we are completely fearless because we can. And then most of the time, it's not just then we'll go beyond death. And 99% of the time, in my cases, with it depends on the client, I will take you after death through all the other steps. So then you can go all the way to see, past the heavens, past the universe, past the multiverse, and all of that. We go to the source again. So then we do the other side also step by step, and we can go as far as we need to go, because as far as your conscious mind is fearless, as far as you fearless. So to the degree of that realization that you are that super conscious in this human form, so you are an eternity, are one, and so your eternal flow unfolds through the living soul. Hi, Unite Planet. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you. Hi, Laura. Thanks. You said, Laura, the only humans that fear death are the ones who need to correct their bad karma. Yes, because this is what their fear. Their fear facing their own doings, their own bad doings. They're afraid of their own judgment. Because ultimately, it's them. And this is what I just talked about, that when I go beyond death, then it depends how far we can go. We can go to heavenly realms, we can go into oversoul and beyond realms, right? And so through that, it's kind of like you see the oneness of yourself, that it is still you. It's still you, little you here over there in this reality, but yet it is so much like grandiose you. And this is why I love I love doing sessions, because this is what I get to experience with other people, is them seeing how incredibly amazing and grandiose each and every one of you guys are. And so you allow me to experience your ancient sort of your ancient codes and all of that stuff. And for me, because I can a lot of times see it too, if I have the capability, or or whatever your higher self chooses to show me. So, but this is okay, talking about Unite Planet, you talking about a holographic game. So I'm gonna read your comment, because this is exactly what I was talking about, is to how it is that we are the manifestors of that holographic reality. We are manifesting it, and this is what I'm trying to be in, kind of like, and this is, no, I didn't try, it's just like, this is what I enjoy so much talking about, that it's ultimately comes back to us. And this is why I say the past must die. Right? It's just like, once that flower, think of it, that flower, that 1 year flower, but once it passes the memory of itself to the seed, right? It then can take the unfoldment, the process of death can unfold, but yet the eternal life is still there. It never went anywhere. So that's just like, and Unite Planet, that because you know all about the near death experiences and all of that. We need to have a conversation about that, because that's a beautiful sort of topic to talk about, that because a lot of people, through going through near death experiences, this is what they go through. So this is why in my sessions I do put you through that experience consciously, so you will experience the satori of death, and go up and down, so then there is no fear. So any fear there is just you dropping it, and then that just unfolds, that eternal sort of flame then can unfold, or your eternal or ancient codes, or your original intent of the ancient tribal dreams, then can unfold within you, whatever it is that you carry in your genetic code. I did say that and it just, like I said, it's gonna come down to your genetic code ultimately. But for those of you that understand on the shamanic level, what we're talking about is we're talking about the tribal ancestral experience that is the living memory or the living Akashic record that is living. Okay, and so that's why it has to manifest. And so it has to come through us because we hold the future, because the future comes through us. Okay. So, Unite Planet, you said we are a human meat suit for the soul. The soul or the demon is guiding us through this holographic game. You're right. And, we allow that in our holographic game. We allow that demon, like natives say, whoever you feed the good wolf or you feed the bad wolf. Thanks, Unite Planet. You said absolutely. I'm up for conversation, Lily. Thank you. We'll do that soon. In a few weeks, I'll start scheduling stuff. So thanks. No more mind wipes, Siankovic. Yes, perfect vision. So yeah, and this is what we have to do. And now to even look at the past, right? We can, with this perfect vision now, and being fearless and experiencing this eternal flame or eternal energy within, knowing who we truly are, that we never truly die. Hi, darling Comfort. Thank you so much for joining. And so we don't truly really die. And so when we experience that, and then we experience in a lot of time, and again, Unite, you talking about your other question about reincarnation. And then in my sessions, I've had some people to where I had to take them after death, and then we go boom, 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 and then where we go, some people end up in another incarnation, and then but seeing that it shows them, or that it is their own choice, that it was always their own choice. I think the biggest sin that was done, or the biggest sort of crime against human consciousness here that's been committed, it's this fear-based mind control of humans. And so that's the biggest crime, because that what took away free will, when in fact a human being can only operate freely and be happy if you operate on that eternal free will, meaning your codes in here, then in your body, because your body, it's a meat suit, right? And there is a demons here because the body consciousness is infected. Like I said, and so then, but your eternal self is those eternal codes, or the ancient codes that are unfolding through you. So right now, if we step into the future with fear, we're going to create more fear. And this is why we can not, because it's 2020, so we cannot have clear vision before we have an ability or capability to change or fix anything or redirect reality on a collective level. Okay, to redirect reality or do something different. Okay, before we can do that, we cannot step into the future claiming we have full vision with the fear strapped to our back. So none of the fear based stuff can work here. And so this is why I say, it's funny. And so now we can, so instead of, we can go on like a Buddhist, and instead of fearing death, we can let go of fear of death and allow life. So we allowing life and replacing. So this is like, this is how you get rid of fear. So you're then allowing life to be present, and meaning now death does not control you. So now you can allow, like I talk about, you can, I talk about, you come into your life where you're going to have a Jesus moment, as I call it. This is the Jesus moment when you really realize who you are. That's your Jesus moment. Take it in a way, whatever you are. And this is when you step through and you say, I'm not going to be afraid to die. They can kill me today, tomorrow, or wherever. How you can, because this is when you pass that everything, that chains are broken. Because the control only operates through fear of something. And at the core of it, ultimately, it's death, fear of death. And so for us to live, we have to overcome death or go through it. So that's why when you come to session for me, I'll put you through death experience. And boom. It's just what it is. Okay, you guys. So, oh my God, 30 minutes. So I want to read here. I think there is some questions here. Yeah, you talk about it, how simple. Ed never thought of plant actually transferring life. Great example. Yes, it's transferring through that eternal code, through the invisible. And so this is the energy, whatever you want, the eternal fields, or the quantum field, and all of that. It remains. The memory, life remains, right? So life remains. In like when human being dies, right, the body goes, because the life is the movement that's gone now. So it's gone, it's in invisible form. It was never now like, oh, half body's gone, because a person's only, people say 21 grams is the only thing that spirit is weighs. I mean soul. um Unite Planet, you said, are you thinking there's archons which can influence or manifest evil in humans? Yes, and this is the system, this is the matrix system. And so when the human beings submit to it, and this is what I talk about, the wheels of deceptions, and how the wheels keep all the wheels intact. And this is why very difficult for people to wake up to their own enslavement. And like I said, when people only know enslavement, I've talked in my past journals about it. I try to kind of lighten up that subject so it's not that heavy, so it's not that negative. It's just that the freedom is self-attained from that. And this is Carlos Castaneda. Castaneda's work is great. And then, of course, all shamans know that. So, and even, I have one book here. Just shamanic journey, therapeutic shamanism. Even on that level, it's gonna have some sort of practice in there, to where there's going to be facing of this death process, to where anything, it has to be faced. And then the darkness and the evil and all of that, it's like once you have the ability and capability to face it within yourself. And this is why I talk about how many people have to go through a lot of difficult things in their life, so then they can claim that experience as a shaman, so then they can stand strong in their own sort of ability, in their authentic ability, that this is how you work through it. So, and then to face your own demons then. And once you face your own demons, this is then the warrior path. And this is why I always say, welcome, wild wisdom warriors, because this is then the warrior path. Then you take your own path and you use your own knowledge, your own experience, and you apply that to the totality in the which form, in the form of how to heal and how to step up, or how to bring the consciousness of totality to a healing or higher level of frequency, or operating on that level, or whatever it is. um Oh, unite the planet. You said you would love to regress to the point where you had your near-death experience. Yeah, absolutely. We can do that in the hypnosis. We can do that online. I do it on Skype. Okay, am I missing? The human energy always lives on. Yes, Laura, thanks for the comment. Yes, and that's what I mean. And a lot of times, like, and even I talk about, remember all the death cults, and how do they operate on trapping energy through sacrifice, and all of that, trapping souls. There's so much mechanics to it, how to trap that living energy, and why all of those procedures have to be there, that has to be created through the belief structures, and why there's so much fear in those ceremonies, in sacrifice ceremonies, that require to trap a living energy. So then look at that, but look now from, like, that the dark occult, and now look not at the love and light good occult, that there is all the saviors on the other side that's still in not gonna do anything. So now looking within, battling your own, and then once you do, then you gain the wings, as I talk about, your return to yourself. And that's the shamanic journey, because ultimately you return to yourself, or to your original blueprint that you had. And this is why there's so much healing that has to take place through all times. And this is why we talk about this as being a quantum age, because it has to, because it unfolds through that. That's the true flower of life. Jose, you said very interesting topics today, Lily. Thank you. Thank you. Laura, you said do no harm, so simple. Yes, you guys, I know I miss all this, so I'm starting to read a little bit, because you have some interesting topics here too. So sometimes, so I don't want to miss anything, and talk about some good topics. What is for everybody. And so today I just felt like, it's very important to talk about that, and to establish sort of the ground rule for your shamanic journey, and where ultimately that leads you. It leads you to this transformation and transmutation path, which is ultimately this process of facing your own fears and losing them in what. And this process of transmutation is what I said, that creates that fuel for your soul then to rise up in frequency within your body, or rise up in the way your mind operates, meaning, or or you can say you can ground more of higher knowledge or gnosis, and so then your gut and your mind are then on positive and a negative, work in harmony. Lobo, you said my shadow perro negro is a demon. And he's with you. Something to do with timelines collapsing. Yeah, I've talked about timeline collapsing, and there is a lot of demons and there is a lot of ghosts. Okay, because I talk about a shadow beings. We have a shadow beings that have lost their genetic blueprint due to I don't know, long story short, they blew up their own physical planet. Okay, and then they don't have the structure, so they're not original to this plane of existence that's here. And this is who went after and did a lot of genetic manipulation. This is and this is where I talk about, then we have that spliced DNA. Humanity today has that spliced DNA in a way where we have that techno strand, and this is what we're talking about, the three-stranded three-stranded spectral people here on this plane of existence. And so those are your bloodlines that are spectral, that they need the titles. So titles of kings and queens, because they don't have the IQs of kings and queens. So they get the titles of kings and queens around the world. Yeah, fate, Laura. That's the thing. It's just like will. And this is what I said, because so many people and so many new age. And I've been calling some of the people out. Even, you remember, you guys, last time I called out George Cavazos on his bullshit, how to give a, he was going around and teaching people how to give up their free will. Okay, you don't have a free will. So, giving up free will, when all it's based, your fight is based, how are you going to fight your own shadow? How are you going to fight your own demons? You have to have will. You have to have will. And that's that fate. Because fate without action is nothing. So it's like having faith and, like you said, repent, but in which way? Exercise your will. Yes, cosmic ocean. You're talking is the third strand of DNA AI. Yes, that's the techno strand of that they're only in technological form present in this existence. And this goes back to my intel that I've shared a while ago. And so that the third strand, those special people around the world, they think they're special bloodlines. It is in a way alien, cosmic ocean. You're asking if it's alien. In a way, it is alien. But it's complicated because they had to burn this place into a crisp. And all of that stuff, and then restart everything by trying to splice in it and giving them this AI thing. So this basically spliced human DNA with that. And so this is where you get that you know how some people say some of the people on this plane of existence have their 11th strand of their DNA blown out. And so it has to be replaced by that for them to. So it's like almost the damage, and this is what created that ripped in time cosmic ocean. So rip in time is through that, because that was the human timeline, talking about some timeline collapsing, and this timeline that's collapsing is this strand of DNA, because it cannot naturally evolve. Do you see what I'm saying? Because they took the third strand, okay, and they and it, and replaced the, like, technological that cannot sustain itself, because it cannot attach to the organic. Like, remember, I know my dad, we had this pears in, when we were living in Ukraine, in Soviet Union, and he grew all this stuff, and we had a grow house where we grew plants, flowers, and all kinds of things. And so he had this trees, pears. And for some reason, he would plant them or buy them, and then they wouldn't turn out to be really good. And so what he found out how to do is actually to add a branch of different pear tree, but to the same kind, right? And so he would, join them and do the process of attaching a branch, and then half of the pear, pear tree would be the organic, and the other half, we had a pears that were like, whoa, mwah, and half of it was like a rock and never would go good. It's just be like hard forever and green. It would never like mature. Crafting trees, I guess that's what it is called, Jose. I don't have the words, the terminology for it, because it was on that time. So think of it in that way when you're attached. But see, like, when you take off that branch, the tree, and then you can take off the a lot of other branches, and you can leave the core, and there's might be other branches that will grow, that will be original, right? Not the ones that attach, because once you attach, all you have to do is detach. So you see what I'm saying with that energy, with that AI that they're all talking about? There is so many levers to it, because like I said, it's a quantum copy of original human being, which meaning a small quantum computer that's here. It's not operating, it's not connected to the universal quantum computer that a human being that's operating on his holy trinity is connected to as a quantum expression. So Bruno, hi, thank you so much for joining. Hey Remus, thank you. Right, you said cosmic ocean, you said the AI DNA cannot withstand incoming plasma waves. No, this is what burns. This is what actually in movies they tell you when vampires burn, when sun comes up, that implies the waves, universal waves. It's actually burning that code. That's why it's dust to dust. That's why I keep saying. So yeah, it's like dust to dust stuff happening with the AI strand. But see, what happens is then when they look at the spirituality, they can't reach, or they don't remember who they are, because they did not produce a seed on a spiritual level, because Artificial intelligence. It's artificial. So it's not living. So there is no energy to go after death anywhere. So it's returning to dust. And so, yeah, they cannot, Laura, they cannot take in new frequencies because they cannot operate on those. Those are like work on the opposite. They're in fact burning them. And this is why it's Phoenix rising, because it will burn within you too. And where I was going to go somewhere. I hope I'm still here. Okay, then I'll be finishing up here then. But basically, so the plasma waves, and they cannot withstand. So what's happening? You can see it. I mean, I don't even need to point it out anymore. It's some of these people that are of that AI DNA structure. They're literally, it's written stupid on their forehead through that, because it's the third strand. And so because, like I said, that pair branch, it's split up into different branches and all of that. And we had almost half of the tree, one sort, and the other one, half was original. Okay. So it can happen here through this genetics as well. So it can be part of reality and all of that stuff. But because, like I said, and this is why to begin with, I always talk about this and laugh at those in alternative spiritual communities that talk like a flat earth community, that, the Stupido Club. Actually, that's the flat earth community, Stupido Club. Like those people that use all of that stuff that is of that sort, binary AI. Why? Because they can only have access to that structure, to that copy of the binary copy of the living human being that they sort of have the structure on how to operate. That's all is there in their mind. That's how they're structures as the beings here. They're just part of the collective consciousness of some sort. A copy, okay? Not even original. So what happens is it cannot evolve then naturally, because then quantum field restructures everything from within out through the living here. And this is why I said having a body here, because it can anchor, and your body in this physical through earth field then will just like it remembers you because it's within the earth field. So that memory, and it will bring up, and so then your living codes can unfold. So free flatheads, actually, the flatheads oh, that's a funny one. That's a comedy show, Remus. Flatheads community. Love it. Yeah, it's just a different kind of, it's just same shit applies to a different thing. But it's just all about belief systems, and there's gazillion different things. I call it all Kool-Aid. They all got all kinds of Kool-Aid, and there's gazillion different recipes for Kool-Aid. Alien Kool-Aid. I laugh about that not long ago. So that's pretty much what it is with that. So what's happening? First of all, this is where they're looping, because there's no progress, there's no evolution, there is only control through control and nothing else, because No death, no power. As I said, some of them just cannot. This death cult cannot. Once you get rid of the death, and the fear of death is what through what they live in a way, or experience life through fear only. So imagine that. Imagine the misery that some people call it life. Laura, you said the Schumann resonance is off the chart. This is what it's kind of, it takes the collective consciousness. This is a wave of collective consciousness unfolding, the totality of human consciousness. So that's what it is. So yeah, watching that, it's interesting. And this is where you guys can see how you feel on certain days and what you feel. And then you can correlate, how it is you on that level, or where and what's happening. It's kind of like, to me, it's fascinating. It's fascinating. So you will see a lot of people, right, in a new age community and all of that ascension, right, is because what ascension, because they can't ascend. That's why they're looking for something external. Usually what that means is that they want to piggyback on something. They want to piggyback on the weak ones, the ones that still believe in that. They can't piggyback on the strong ones that know who they are, know that, and operating on those living codes, right? So they can't, so people can come and yell, Lily, AI is gonna kill us all. And I go, okay, you can you can scream and I'm gonna laugh. So it's like, you know what I mean. Cosmic agency talking to the aliens. Yeah, I mean, that's what they do. They're looking for purple blankets and Nike shoes so they can meet with aliens on the clouds. Yeah, that's what. Ah, this is ultimately what that AI strand ultimately will extend. It's suicide path, basically. They know they can. Death is it's just, it can't be present within life. There's no such thing. No such a thing. Excusez-moi. Excusez-moi. All right, Laura, bye. And I'm gonna have to say bye to every one of you too, you guys. So yeah, have fun with some of those divine idiots out there that are running around, and I'm like, oh, now this AI that. They're only talking about their own DNA. And when they do the binary DNA activations, they're feeding on your living codes. So keep your life to yourself, wild wisdom warriors, and laugh at the divine idiots out there that are stranded and they are not going to be evolving with humanity. So we're going to say bye-bye. As in Russia, everybody say до свидания. Пошли вы нахрен. Dust to dust. And all of you, my living beings out there, my beautiful flowers that remember who you are, and you have all the memory as the universal seed of creation. You are the creation. So go there and flower and be beautiful, everyone. Until next time, love you all. Mwah. Thank you so much for joining me. Bye, everybody.